So now let me invite Mr. Manikam Ramaswami, the Chairman and Managing Director of Loyal Textiles Group, and is also one of the founding member of ICT Academy of Tamil Nadu. We will be delighted to listen to you, sir.
Mr. Lakshmi Narayanan, dignitaries on the dais, distinguished members from the education community, and fellow entrepreneurs. It gives me great pleasure to be here to participate in an ICT function. As mentioned, I have had the privilege of being a part of the team that to put together the proposal for the ICT Academy as the chairman of the Tamil Nadu CII way back 6 years ago. I must compliment Mr. Lakshmi Narayanan for bringing so much of creative energy. It took us almost 2.5 years to get the concept moving from drawing table to implementation. But within a period of 5 years, he has already had 19 bridge events, besides few hundreds or thousands of interactions in different institutions. I must really congratulate the team which is running ICT Academy today. I am not an IT person, so I would be bringing to you a perspective from a non-IT perspective. We heard a lot about the importance of, the growing importance of being in a connected world, the way our life is going to get impacted or is already impacted, and the kind of opportunities that are there if one is IT literate. I don't think one needs to overemphasize that. Our Prime Minister has rightly said that if we have to have inclusive growth in the country, we need two things. One is we need to make India a digital India, and another is make in India. And in many ways, both are interconnected. Today, we see many governments which are supposed to be more populistic in their way of governing, coming out with announcements that they're going to make their cities Wi-Fi enabled and even offer limited free access. Clearly brings out the aspirations of the common man. He definitely wants to be IT connected or included in this digital India. However, if we have to help our people to get the best out of being connected and leverage the several advantages that we can derive from being in connected India, it's extremely important for us to ensure all those who are connected are properly educated, both using IT as well as about the use of IT. I'm aware that most of you here are running graduate and postgraduate institutions, but I'm sure you'll agree with me that those of us who are running institutions at the graduate and postgraduate level would be much happier if we had better prepared students coming from our schools. Students who are capable of some amount of learning by themselves using the very large infrastructure which all of us have in our libraries, whether it is digital or otherwise, and also not requiring so much of classroom contact and with an ability to learn by themselves. So I think it's extremely important for us, even though you're all connected with graduate and postgraduate institutions, to look at the quality and the way we do primary and secondary education in this country. We all know the best way to bring in quality into any system is to create a surplus. If we have surplus capacity, underutilization of the surplus capacity will drive quality up. If there is a saturation and the demand is far in excess of supply, then quality generally tends to stagnate. We see this happening in higher education. We have created surplus capacity in technical education, be it engineering or management, and there are a lot of unfulfilled seats in most of these many institutions, and this has really pushed the bar above. Now we are really competing with each other, improving our institutions, getting better quality faculty, continuously working on their faculty improvements, using facilities which ICT offers to improve our teaching methodologies and teachers' capabilities, etc. So we are very clear that when there is a surplus, quality gets improved without much external effort. Mr. Lakshmi Narayanan was also mentioning that the employability of graduates in Tamil Nadu, which was a pathetic 25 or 26% at the time of starting ICT, has improved a lot. It clearly says that quality has gone up, and I would think that it has gone up at this speed because we have had surplus capacity. But if you look at school education, we seem to be having a huge shortage. Unlike university education, which can be far away from the place where people live, boarding facilities compensate for distance from home. But at primary or secondary level education, schools have to be closer to homes if children have to, spend less time on commute and more time in learning. So we need more education infrastructure within the towns, within cities and towns. We need to quickly amend the ways, amend our the policies which we have today, which prevents private enterprises from setting up schools. We need to really look at a whole lot of issues like relaxing FSIs, allowing schools to charge higher fees if necessary. We need to attract private investments and create a certain surplus capacity in primary and secondary education if we really want to get the benefit of being a connected India or a digitally connected India. We also know that at the school level, the quality of teaching is rather bad. And in Tamil Nadu, the percentage of teachers who have passed the teacher eligibility test is a very, very small percentage, which clearly indicates that there is absence of quality at every stage in school education. We have a lot of smart classes, digitally enabled facilities to offer high quality classes to teach students, but most of our schools are not equipped for it. And even in schools which have equipped themselves with these facilities, the teachers are not properly trained to get the best out of the system. I'm very happy to understand that Lakshmi and ICT Academy have taken this as one of their additional objectives besides contributing to graduate and postgraduate education to substantially improve the quality of education at school level. And I think this is the most important need today if we really have to reap the benefits of all the advancements that we are going to have in technology and we already have in technology. We need to make sure that we have almost all the schools with infrastructure, necessary infrastructure to offer online courses and courses prepared by best of faculty in the world. And we need to have a new paradigm in teacher training. All our teacher training institutions must offer this additional skill set to the teacher to use prepared classes and make the classroom engagement much more interesting and the objective way of teaching, understanding the concepts. We need to also completely change the way we test our students in schools. Today we are testing them only for their rote learning and we are not really testing them for their conceptual understanding or clarity of concepts. So we need to do a whole lot of things at the school level, and although people here are more connected with higher education, I think all of us, it's our duty, both from the industry as well as from higher education institutes, to look at school education a little bit more deeply and see how we can rectify that, because unless we do that, the starting point is going to be very difficult. When we look at getting the industry involved in whatever we are doing at our education institutions, and like the topic says, to bridge the divide even between industry and the teaching institutions, I think we need to produce graduates who can produce students, teach students so that they can contribute more towards applying their knowledge and improving the manufacturing competitiveness. Prime Minister has also said that we need to have Make in India. I think Digital India and Make in India go together if we have to have an inclusive India. We can't have an inclusive India if all the billion people who seek jobs are not gainfully employed. I mean, we cannot be depending on doles and say that we are a developed nation or an inclusively developed nation. So if our manufacturing has to really become very important and capable of employing the many who are going to seek employment, then we'll have to create empowered employees who have the right knowledge, and you have to use the technology which to impart that knowledge so that our workforce, even if they are not graduates, are highly qualified. So our primary education has to have the element of, we have to train our students to learn by themselves, to learn through online courses. So even in primary schools, there are programs like Khan Academy programs, and I read in the newspaper recently that Mr. Nandan Neelankani is coming out with school education programs which can be offered through low-cost devices. I'm sure once the physical infrastructure is there, we correct the way we test our students, a lot more such programs will come in vernacular language, and we will have enough course material for children to learn on their own, even if they don't have very good teachers. But we have to teach them to learn on their own, and that should become an important part of our initial teaching in the first, second, third standards. And if we can do all this, then Make in India can become a reality. We all know that if we have to make in India, we need three things. We need raw materials at internationally competitive prices. We need market access without handicaps on tariffs. These two are better addressed by the government because these two need a lot of policy changes and more engagement at the global level to have a tariff-free regime for our products. But the third aspect is conversion of raw material into finished goods at internationally competitive prices with internationally preferred features and quality. And this is where, if we have a qualified workforce, we can do a lot. I'd like to just give you one example of how technology has converted otherwise non-competitive activity into an extremely globally competitive activity in Australia. Australian cotton is grown by, in Australia they grow cotton. They grow about 10% of the cotton that India grows. They have to pay for water because water doesn't come free there. And they have to pay for electricity. They have to pay for fertilizer and chemicals. Nothing comes free. And their workforce is far more expensive than the farm labor in India or in China. And they don't consume it, so they have to transport it all the way to either one of the Asian countries. So they have also outbound logistics costs. But in spite of all this, they have a very prosperous cotton farming sector in Australia. Only 16,000 people are engaged in growing cotton. 10% of India's cotton is grown by only 16,000 people. In India, we have more than 1 crore people growing cotton, over 1.1 crore hectares of land. And they use less than 50% of water, pesticides and fertilizers compared to an Indian farmer. More than 50% of the farmers are postgraduates, and almost all of them are specially trained in agriculture, and they're either certified farmers or graduate farmers. So this is just to give you an example that wherever we are, in whichever field we work, whether it is agriculture or so-called labor-intense manufacturing activity or high-tech manufacturing activity or in consultancy and services, unless we have qualified people who can learn on their own, there is enough learning material available today in this digitally connected world. If we can train our people right from school, primary school level, to become capable of learning by themselves, then I think we would have achieved the best out of being a digitally connected India. And once again, I'd like to congratulate ICT Academy for looking at school education, because this, I think, is the most important need today, and it can revolutionize the way we look at both IT services and manufacturing. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Then we are growing with the seed which you have sowed long back before 6 years. Thank you so much for your kind words.